Good evening, Lina. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about poetry. I'd like to start by reading a poem that I wrote. I called it My Dream Woman because that was a suggestion from a friend. And this is what it says. A glance, a word, a furtive kiss graces my lips and lingers. A brief embrace, a misty beach, sand slipping through my fingers. The wait is long, our time is short, butterfly wings aflutter. A photograph caught in mid-flight by a blink of the shutter. Our love needs time, but time is scarce. We steal it when it finds us. We hide inside its shifting haze, let its sweet scent surround us. If I could trap the moment's scent, I'd seal it in a locket, the fragrant gift of stolen love tucked away in my pocket. But then, on days when you're away, although the hours seem longer, your perfume remains in my heart and makes my love grow stronger. Now, that's a kind of a very traditional sort of love poem. And it's the kind of thing that a lot of romantic poets wrote back in the day. Now, you asked, what does poetry mean to me? And let me tell you, poetry is something that has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. To me, poetry is a matter of both form and content. By form, I mean poetry in my book. Poetry, for me, has to follow certain rules. It has to have rhyme. It has to have meter. It has to have cadence and a rhythm to it. A lot of other poets don't write rhyming poetry. To them, rhyme is not that important. To me, it is very important because I think that it is what distinguishes poetry from prose. The bottom line is that you can write anything, and if it doesn't rhyme, it is prose. It may be nice. There's nothing wrong with writing inspiring, and important prose. Prose that hits the heart. I write prose. I write novels, and I try to also put in interesting analogies, interesting similes, and interesting forms of comparison, interesting create interesting situations, and give an interesting turn of one's language in order to write interesting prose. But it is still prose unless I rhyme it, I meter it. Poetry is like a song. So it has to have the elements of the song. It has to have its own music. So anyway, that's what poetry means to me. Now, beyond that, poetry also has some other things that are very important. One thing about poetry is that poetry is a way of compressing feelings. Poetry tries to say a lot with very few words. Because of that, poetry tends to be very passionate. Poetry tends to be to give very very strong feelings. Tends to express feelings in a very strong way. So poetry has to do that in order to convey those feelings in a very short period of time, in a very short expanse of time. In this poem that I wrote, that I just read, we're talking about basically a relationship. And we're talking about a relationship where we give the impression that these two lovers don't have a lot of time together, don't spend a lot of time together. And there's a lot of empty space between their encounters. That's why it talks about time being like sand drifting through their fingers. And that's why we talk about furtive kisses and brief embraces. That's why we talk about, make the comparison of a butterfly's wings, a flutter, butterfly wings, and the butterfly's flying, and it's like a photograph caught in mid-flight by the blink of a shutter, by a moment's photograph. So this poem basically explains or tries to explain the feelings of people who are caught in that kind of a situation while they're in terms of their affair, in terms of their romance. So because of that, you have a situation where you're putting together lots of feeling into just a few short verses. Our love needs time, but time is scarce. We steal it when it finds us. See, we talk about how it is when two people don't get to spend a lot of time with each other. They just cherish that moment. And of course, the fragrant gift of stolen love is seen, this love is seen as a fragrant gift, and then the perfume remains in the heart. So it creates a symbolism of the love and the perfume, and how it makes the love. It's the memory of these encounters that makes the love grow strong. So anyway, this is basically the way I look at poetry. Poetry is a compressing. It's an exercise in saying a lot with a few words, in compressing feelings into few words, creating strong feelings with a small amount of language, and doing it in a way that has meter and rhyme, that creates the sense of a song to it. Now, what inspires me to write poetry? You're asking me, what inspires me to write? And I'll say that really it is the feelings. You observe things, and you must have strong feelings about it. Because since you're creating this abbreviated, this is a capsule in which you're putting all this feeling, you must have some feeling about it. I think, for me, writing poetry, there are really two topics that I write poetry about. And they are love and death. These are the two strongest feelings, I think, in our lives. Are the things that motivate us, or that we feel the strongest about. When we fall in love, and of course, the death of someone, whether it is the fear of your own death, or whether it is the feelings of loss created by the death of someone else, especially someone that you love. So what motivates me is those two feelings, basically. When I when I feel or I think about a love affair, when I think about someone that I love. Now, when I say love affair and someone that I love, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking about a lover, a romantic love. It can be the love of a parent for a child. It can be the love of a child for a parent, or of a son or daughter for a parent. It can be the love of a brother or sister, or just friends who love each other, who care for each other. It can be the love of comrades in say, in combat, in war, where there is that sense, that foreboding sense of impending death that could occur. The feeling of insecurity, that life can be cut short at any moment. And the same thing happens with love, especially where people are not secure in their love. I think there's a sweet, secure love that sometimes we write about, a person whom we love and whose love we feel we have conquered, or with that love exists, that bond exists, that it is unbreakable. And then there are poems about the love that includes a fear of loss, that love that's insecure, the unrequited love. And those feelings are pretty deep, pretty strong as well, and they are often expressed in poetry. So I hope that these few comments have helped you to understand a little bit about me and what motivates me to write. I write novels when I think of interesting situations, but I write poems only when I feel deep feelings about something. So, I mean, they can be a memory of a deep feeling. It doesn't have to be an immediate feeling, but it usually is based on either a memory or an instance where a very strong feeling comes up. And the motivation, of course, is to bring it out. It's an exercise in expressing it in order for it to flourish, in order for it not to die, and in order for it not to kill me. Because very often, if we don't express our feelings, they start chewing us up inside, and we start succumbing to them. Anyway, thanks very much for this opportunity. I hope you've enjoyed the short talk, and I wish you the best of luck. Take care. We'll be talking soon. Thank you.